Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I am the founder of the Black Business School, and I want to welcome you guys to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. These are a bunch of my papers I keep around with notes and plans and everything else. I'm always laying out the plans for my life and things I want to do and stuff like that, and I encourage every black person in here to have a plan. You know, if you don't have a plan, believe me, they're going to have a plan for you. Now, here's what I wanted to talk about real quick. Somebody asked me about an article that Bill Cosby, in which Bill Cosby claimed that systematic racism was responsible for the reason that he's in prison right now. And, I don't know how you feel about that, and I don't know how you feel about Cosby. I'm not here to sit here and pretend that Cosby's an innocent man or a perfect man or any other kind of man. I am just here to say that I was curious about that question. I wanted to see what you guys thought about it, and I'll give you a quick Dr. Boyce breakdown on my thoughts on the issue. So what I did was I did a survey on my drboycetv.com YouTube channel, and I just asked a basic question. I said, do you think Bill Cosby would be in prison right now if he were white? And 93% of you said no. You said that if he were white, he would not be in prison. And I think that's a really telling response, in the sense that, it just basically says that race is a defining factor, not in the fact that, I didn't say, do you think Cosby's innocent? I didn't say, do you think Cosby's a good guy? I said, do you think that he'd be in prison if he were white? And if what 93% of you said is correct, then that means that systematic racism, or that race does play a part in all of this. Race does not necessarily mean that everything that happens to you is 100% because of race. It says that the penalties, if you take 2 people that are identical in every way and switch their race around, you're going to see different outcomes for their behavior, right or wrong or whatever. Like I remember a guy said to me that he said being black is kind of like, he said, if you're at work and there's a Coke machine and everybody hits the Coke machine and gets a free Coke, he said the day that they see the black guy hit the Coke machine and get a free Coke, they turn around and say, oh, we got to fix that machine. Right. And I thought that was an interesting way to kind of describe it. I wrote a book back in 2004 called What If George Bush Were a Black Man? And what I did was I said, I was basically saying, what if you took a black man who wasn't perfect? What if you took a black man who was flawed? What if you had a black man who was a lot like George Bush? He wasn't the hardest working guy in the room, but he wasn't the laziest. He wasn't the smartest bulb on the tree, but he wasn't the dumbest. He wasn't the most perfectly law-abiding citizen in the world, but he wasn't a complete criminal, but he did break the law. What would the outcomes be? And statistically speaking, what it showed in this book, and the argument that I made, is that when you're black, it seems that the margin of error tends to shrink. That when you're black, if you are a person who broke the law, you're going to be treated far differently than somebody else who broke the law. If you are a black person who is just walking down the street, you're far more likely to even have to engage with the police than a white person who's walking down the street. That if you have an imperfection, your imperfection can be penalized with death, as opposed to somebody else who'd be given a chance to pay their debt to society and move on with their lives. So I'm a guy who is not here to ever say I think Cosby is a wonderful man, or that Cosby never did any of the things he was accused of. I'm here to simply say that if you believe in the American justice system and you believe in justice in what it's supposed to be, there are certain rules that must be followed when you go to prosecute somebody, that you have to have things like proof and evidence, and you have to have the law on your side. So I think that with Cosby, what you're dealing with is a situation where, not so much to say that this guy was perfect or innocent or wonderful. It's a situation that says that, it seems that when you're black, they will give you the death penalty for things that a white guy would not receive nearly as harsh of a punishment. A white guy could pay his debt to society, be forgiven, and move on. Whereas Cosby, when they sent that 82-year-old man to prison for 10 years, that was a death sentence. And so I think that it has to be considered that They did promise they wouldn't prosecute. They broke their own rules, which is yet another reason to not believe in the justice system. If they can just break the rules and bend the rules whenever they want to, then what good is a commitment if you're not going to keep it? When you talk about Cosby, you're also talking about a scenario where the case for which he was convicted was a situation where, if I'm not mistaken, the lady got a bunch of money, and that was done to for whatever reason, right? But she got $3 million, and it was supposed to be over with. And so I just kind of think, if you look at the mindset of a lynch mob mentality, a lynch mob's ideology is, we're going to get that Negro no matter what it takes. We're going to make it happen. We don't care what laws we got to bend. We don't care what rules we got to break. We don't care what protocols we have to throw out the window. And I think that you can see that without necessarily having to walk around saying, I believe Bill Cosby's completely innocent. Because even I don't believe Bill Cosby's completely innocent. I just believe justice is supposed to be served equally under the law for everybody. And I, too, agree with the 93% of you who said Cosby wouldn't be in jail if he were white. I think that if he were a white guy, I think that they would say, you know what, we think he might have done these things, but that was a long time ago. There isn't any evidence, unfortunately, so we cannot prosecute. But I don't know. Give me your thoughts on it. And I know some folks misinterpret. People like to mislabel, misinterpret your words and assume that you're out here defending things like sexual assault and I don't think you have to defend sexual assault to defend somebody's right to fairness. And I defend fairness. I defend truth and honesty. I certainly would never defend sexual assault. But of course, some people are going to just get that wrong. And that's also part of a political strategy to silence you. That's a type of oppression where they basically will mislabel and deliberately misinterpret what you're saying so that they can find some way to stain you, right? And that's another strategy you should look out for. So I encourage everybody here. All of you are intelligent. That's why you're even on this platform. I encourage you to take the time and just look for honesty and truth, and just know, in this politically polarized world, you're not going to get a whole lot of truth. You're going to get a whole lot of spin, a whole lot of people giving their perspective, a whole lot of people trying to be very fascist in terms of dominating what other people are allowed to say, allowed to think, cancel culture, things like that. And I just think it's wrong, and I think history will judge us harshly for all of that. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. Have a good day, and please hit the thumbs up button before you go, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's